C.S. Lewis is arguably one of the most prominent defenders of the Christian faith in the popular imagination. Whether it was for his books directly defending belief or exploring those beliefs in the context of fiction, it's hard to exaggerate the impact he's had on Christian thought. But what if I told you that he had some views that a lot of Christians today would find troubling? That he would probably be labeled by some as an evil progressive Christian if he were alive today? In this video, I'm going to highlight what those views are and commend Lewis for his honesty in many cases. And I hope if you're a Christian watching this, you'll allow yourself to be challenged by the questions he raises. And for the skeptics, hopefully you'll see that not all Christians are fundamentalists. First, he really wasn't that impressed with arguments from design. Quote, "I still think the argument from design the weakest possible ground for theism, and what may be called the argument from undesign the strongest for atheism." For Lewis, concluding a good God made this, after looking around at the various features of the world, was a highly dubious inference. This is why his main strategy in Mere Christianity is to invite the reader to turn their attention inward to themselves to find reasons for God, not to encourage them to look outward. Second, though it seems that he had some substitutionary theory of atonement, he strongly questioned penal substitutionary atonement, a theory seen as crucial to the gospel itself by some. The atonement theory most people have heard is the one I mentioned before, the one about our being let off because Christ had volunteered to bear a punishment instead of us. Now, on the face of it, that is a very silly theory. If God was prepared to let us off, why on earth did he not do so? And what possible point could there be in punishing an innocent person? None at all that I can see, if you're thinking of punishment in the police court sense. I think these concerns are perfectly reasonable, and in fact I've actually responded to apologist Mike Winger in some videos that I'll link in the description. Third, he wasn't an exclusivist when it came to Christianity, meaning that he thought that people who actively practiced other religions could still make it to heaven. There are people in other religions who are being led by God's secret influence to concentrate on those parts of their religion which are in agreement with Christianity, and who thus belong to Christ without knowing it. If that doesn't ruffle some fundamentalist feathers, then I don't know what will. Fourth, a lot of Christians will not like his view on the Bible at all. He had some very spicy things to say about biblical violence, using words like devilish, diabolical, terrible, and contemptible to describe some passages in the Psalms. The one about dashing babies against rocks is one example. He still thinks there are things we can learn from such passages, but he speaks plainly about the morality therein. The reason he was able to do that is because he didn't view the Bible as inerrant in any kind of way that modern evangelicals do. He writes, "The human qualities of the raw material show through. Naivety, error, contradiction, even, as in the cursing psalms, wickedness are not removed. The total result is not the Word of God in the sense that every passage in itself gives impeccable science or history. It carries the Word of God." Enough of this. Turn this video off right now. How does this contraption work? I hereby cancel C.S. Lewis. Cancelled! Whatever you do, don't tap this video next to me. This atheist tries to argue that you don't need God for morality. Pathetic.